We are blessed to do something artistic. We're creating something from nothing. And so therefore, if we've created it from nothing, what is it supposed to be? It is what it is. There is no failure. Hi, my name is Kyle Longley. I'm a music producer and engineer in Los Angeles, and I've been graciously asked to come to talk to you guys about Amphion loudspeakers and how they affect and help my workflow. I am a mixer and a tracking engineer, and I love the Amphion product, so I am extremely excited about being here. My journey with Amphion started with the pandemic, of all places. I needed a solution from working from home, and I had a commercial studio. I was in a commercial room for about a decade, or a little over a decade, and when we had the lockdowns, I needed to put something in my living room to keep working. I actually had another competitor's monitor ready to ship, and I was poking around online, and I came across a thread and heard about Amphion, so I cold called with an email Amphion. And Ansi wrote back and said, yeah, we could get you a demo. So long story longer, I ended up with a set of 118s in my living room for a month. I was given a month to just try them out. Put the other monitors on hold. And as I worked with them, I realized that the learning curve was very little. I was learning the entire room, actually, because I was working from my living room, and it's not purpose-built. It's just a living room. So trying to figure out the sound of that room and trying to figure out the new speakers, I just started mixing. As I started delivering projects, the mix notes were minimal, and I kept doing more mixes and more minimal notes, and I'd get stuff to my mastering engineer, and the notes were the same as they were before. So I thought, wow, there's something to this. I'm not struggling to mix, and I'm just kind of working. And I've never had that experience before that quickly with a speaker. So the Amphions, they just present everything in the way that my ear likes to hear, and it allows me to really dig in and work faster, more efficiently. My typical tracking day is, I'm a big console fan. I love Neve consoles. They're my favorites. I'm very comfortable with them, and I love the way they sound. On any typical tracking day, I will have the assistant set up my console in a way that I'm used to. I'll always forward it, or I will advance an input list, understand what I'm recording and why. I think that's very important. To go into a session, I have to know what instrumentation we're going to have, or what we may potentially have. I will get inside the artist's head and ask as many questions as I can about what we're doing and why we're doing it, what are we trying to accomplish, because that's going to set up the workflow. If I just show up to a session with I think we're doing bass and drums and guitar, and I'm not asking enough questions of what may we get into, who's going to be there, are there any time frames where musicians need to get in and out? Does someone have a hard out at 4? Oh, the horn player's got to leave at 4, so I know that I need to pack everything that he's going or she is going to do early on. These questions are going to help with the way I set up the session to start. And if I set it up properly to start, it will always go off without a hitch, and we will always stay on schedule, and more importantly to the producers, on budget. That's key. But as far as the technical setup goes, I will get the console set up, get the room laid out properly with the blocking, and I mean, drums here, guitars there, vocals, where are they going to be in the room, so that I can get either isolation or bleed, depending on what type of sound I'm going for. Once we determine what we're getting or why we're getting it, then it's a matter of just getting out of the way. If I'm just engineering, I'm just looking to capture the best sounds I can capture in the least amount of time. Because if there's an hour booked for recording, I would rather give the musicians 55 minutes of recording and 5 minutes of setup. Because 55 minutes of recording is always better than 25 minutes of recording, because I've been messing around with trying to get a better guitar tone, which at the end of the day is never as important as the performance. So once I get everything set up and I'm liking what I'm getting and I'm ready to hit record, I'm just getting out of the way. If I am producing, then, of course, I'll get in there a little deeper, and that's a different answer for a different question. How to convey emotion and the roles that emotion plays. And I think that's all we're doing as audio engineers is we're just capturing audible emotions. And I think having a speaker system like the Amphions, they're not clinical to me. They just present the truth in an emotional way. And anything that's going to help me capture the emotion that's coming out of the room in the live room, that's priceless to me. I think that's all we're really doing. And the 218s that I use they help me really see into the music and hear into the music. And when I say they're not clinical, there are speakers out there that I think are very bright or hyped. Maybe there are speakers out there that throw out a lot more bottom end, or maybe they sizzle or they punch a little bit harder. But that's exciting to a degree, but it's not very, it's distracting to me, if that's a way to put it. The Amphions just kind of lay bare what's there, and it kind of gets out of the way, and it allows me to hear into the room. This job is amazing. I can't believe that I actually get paid to do it. I always say I have the best seat in the house. I mean, who gets to show up and work with musicians and artists that are doing exactly what they love and what they're known for? To be able to sit in a room with an artist that is doing exactly what they're put on earth to do, which is to be creative, and to sit in a studio and watch and to witness and to play a part of the creation that only happens in a moment, in an instant, and to be able to capture that and to maybe help direct it or to be responsible for it in any kind of way it's exciting. And the fact that every day is different, even if you're working the same project over the course of a week or a month or however long, every day is something new and challenging. And I think the emotional uplift that I receive is exactly what drives me. We are of service to the music. We are of service to the project. I've watched young engineers from afar. I've watched them. They'll obsess over a sound, or they'll obsess over trying to get the perfect snare sound, or they got to change the mic 3 times because they're not hearing something in their head, some theoretical perfection that doesn't really exist. The key is to just never impede the artistic flow. And the more we stop to try to make things perfect, the more we tend to pull away from the artists, their energy and what's going on. One of the biggest lessons I've ever learned is to hit record when the artist is ready to hit record. And we have to get quick and efficient at being in that position, so that if an artist walks in here and you've got 3 minutes of artistic magic that's going to come out of them, that you're ready to record. Because at the end of the day, nobody's going to buy the recording because you got the most amazing guitar sound on earth, or that vocal was so incredibly widely dynamic and frequency perfect. Man, they're buying it because you captured some emotion that was lightning in a bottle. So young engineers, that's all you're doing. Get out of the way. Don't make it about yourself. Put your ego aside and just serve the music. Is there a session that I can remember off the top of my head that encapsulates that? I say every session that I do has that magic in a bottle moment. Because if you think about it, musicians put on their calendar, they circle this date. Okay, we're going to go into the studio on Saturday. And whether they book it a month in advance or 3 months in advance or even a day in advance, it's like Disneyland, right? So it's on the calendar, and it's something you look forward to doing and to attending. So you've rehearsed the project, or you write the material, and you prepare yourself mentally and sometimes physically to do the project. And you show up on that Saturday, and everybody's bringing their A game. It's something where all the musicians, they roll in and they're ready to go, especially if you're in a nice room like East West, like where we are here. Everyone kind of brings their energy up. Those moments, if we are fortunate to be enough to be in the room and to capture that, they're all memorable to me. Some sessions they go off better than others, but I feel like everything I do has that moment. So I don't know if I can really think of one or more that would be, more outstanding than another. And maybe it's because I'm spoiled and have been in the room when it happens so often. If you find yourself in a session and things aren't going well, whether it's a technical issue or it's an artistic issue, or let's say the artist is feeling like they just don't have it in them that day. Now, if you're dealing with a vocalist and something's just physically wrong with their voice or something's going on, well then sometimes you're best off just to call the session, because there's no point in wasting your time. Sometimes artists get in their head, and you have to explain to them or make them understand that no one's going to die. Nobody dies in what we do, right? We make a mistake here, and the worst thing that can happen is you get a little buzz, or maybe you get some distortion in your sound, or you try something musically and it doesn't work. Well, so you've wasted 5 minutes, but at the end of the day, you actually haven't even wasted the time, because you've discovered something new. You've discovered something that doesn't work. I think the trick to keeping everyone online and focused is, even when things are going poorly or seemingly poorly, is that there is no failure. We are blessed to do something artistic. We are creating something from nothing. And so therefore, if we've created it from nothing, what is it supposed to be? Well, it is what it is. An artist will always remember how they feel about the session. That's the most important thing. I'll have an artist that will feel amazing about their vocals when it was going down. And so we'll end up using the take because they've associated good memories and good feelings with it. But at the same time, I've had sessions where an artist didn't like what was going on, and they were in their head about something, and it may not have had anything to do with what was going on in the room, maybe something going on in their personal lives, but they did not enjoy the session. So therefore, when they listen back to the tracks, they can't remove that. And so they want to recut their vocals, or they want to redo it. So I think that our perception of what's going on at the time is key to what we end up getting at the end of the day. So if there's any advice I can offer young adults getting into this, is it's part psychological. We want to keep the sessions rolling, and comfort is the most important thing, because what an artist does is infinitely more important than what we do. Because if they have a great take and a great performance, we can basically do anything. If the artist has a terrible performance, it doesn't matter how well we do our jobs, we just end up capturing a pristine version of their crappy performance or emotionless performance. Free time and music, that's a very fine line, because I feel like I love music so much, and so much of my life, and well, all of my life has been centered around music and the creation of it, that on days off, I'm thinking of how can I make music? Maybe not for my clients, but for myself, and or with my fiance or my friends. It's not like I do work and then I have a day off and I want to get away from music. Maybe I want to get away from certain aspects of it, but music is so much of my life that I find so much joy in doing it, that it's a very fine line that I don't know if I ever cross over not doing music or not having music in my day-to-day. But with that said, I think if you are emotionally and spiritually open to what the universe brings, then that's all we aim for, right? Because then it doesn't matter what we're actually doing, because we can find joy and peace and happiness in everything that we do, whether it's having a coffee with your dog, or if it's watching Netflix with a loved one, or if it's sitting in a recording studio staring out at 22 musicians, and then you got mains pumping and everyone's smiling and having an amazing time. I don't know if there's really a delineation, because I find equal amounts of joy and love from all of those experiences. And I think if in my personal growth and development, if I can find that center, then it translates into everything I do, especially music. So if you've gotten into the music business for the money, you're an idiot, straight up. That's not why you should be doing this. If you are watching this, there's a high chance that this is what you love, because we're choosing a career path that is not in the box, right? Our parents tell us, Oh, you go, go be a doctor or a lawyer or anything really, but don't do that. Like even I think successful musicians might not want their offspring to follow in their footsteps. By very nature of the fact that this is what we've chosen to do, you have to love it. And I think you do love it, which is why you're watching. You can't go into it looking at the money. You just have to go into it looking at the love of the art. And if you love the art, that will be felt by the people around you. If you say yes to a gig because you need the money or you want the money, and that's the only motivational factor for you to do it, then the artist will feel that because you're not willing to go the extra mile. To build a career in this town, you have to go the extra mile. You have to go, all right, well, this is the budget I was paid, and my goodness, the project requires all this extra of me. So do you bill them? And if you can't bill them for it, then you have to do it. Well, then you got to do it. Why? Because you're only as good as your last recording. I can tell you to go to YouTube right now and hit any of 1,000 things that I've done, and it's going to span my entire career. But what I can't tell you is I can't say, well, yeah, but on this recording, I was only, paid X amount of money and we only had 2 hours. And these are all the negatives and all the handcuffs that I was given. I can't do that because you're just going to hit play and you're going to judge what I've done based on that, whether you stick around for 20 seconds or the whole entire video or the whole entire song. So what I'm getting at is that we have to put our best foot forward always. If you say yes to the job, do the job, man. Do it. Do it with everything you have. Because at the end of the day, that's all we're judged by are the breadcrumbs that we've left once we're 6 feet under or in a little urn somewhere on someone's mantle, and they're going to judge us on it. There aren't going to be disclaimers. Well, this was only a $30 mix, or this was only a $3,000 mix, or this was a $30,000 mix. Just put everything you have into what you do, and the money will come. A career will come because your artists and your colleagues will sense why you're doing it. And if you're doing it from a genuine place and from a loving place, then it's going to translate into everything you do and it will manifest in more work. I was very fortunate to have wonderful mentors in my life. I did not go to school for this. I just kind of lucked into meeting people that took an interest in me and took time out of their busy lives. So I think the mentorship thread or the lineage of disseminating information is vital. It's vital. It's the best way to learn, in my opinion. There are no secrets really in audio. Right? Everything's been done and so many things have been tried that all we can do is have an approach. It's just a mindset and an approach to how we do our jobs and to do it effectively. So I find it very important to pass on any information that I've ever been given, because even if we're all given the same ingredients as a chef, if I go out and buy some pizza sauce and some cheese and some dough and we have 20 people in the room and everyone gets the same exact ingredients, well, we're all going to have 20 different pizzas, right, at the end of the day. So it's the same thing with information. We can all have the same information, but our artistry and our creativity, our individualism is going to create something that is entirely different than the person sitting next to you. The mixes that I do are wholly different than my mentors, and I can't do what he does. He's shown me and I've listened as intently as I could, but I just don't hear it that same way. But yet I have the same approach. We both have the same approach. My approach is his approach. Extremely important to disseminate that information. In today's day and age, with all of the technology that we have at our disposal, if you are removed physically from the ability to get into a session and to see firsthand, then I think an important thing is to contact someone that you respect. Just email them. And maybe you can do a mentorship, or maybe you can do a Zoom meeting, or maybe a lesson. Nowadays with Zoom, I can get on. I've had students of mine from all over the country, in different parts of the world, where they can Zoom me and we'll do an hour or two, and we now have face-to-face conversations about what they're looking to answer, or looking to have answered. So I think that's an important way, or an important tool to learn. In fact, I think it's more effective than just reading about it on in a book or watching a YouTube tutorial. Of course, I think the best thing you can do is go to a local recording studio and try to intern. do an internship. But I know that we all can't do that because internships take time and no money, or you need to have a pile of it so that you can continue to do the internship. But if you can get in and tail somebody and shadow somebody in a recording studio to watch how a session is really being done and what it takes, I think that's probably the best way. That's how I learned. But if you can't do it that way, then perhaps lessons or mentorship through the internet via a one-on-one connection with someone, that's probably going to be your best bet. That's what I would be doing. I'm an avid motorcyclist and have been for most of my life, but I really enjoy the focus and the freedom that getting on a motorcycle gives me. I think it's very similar to mixing, actually, because when I'm mixing, as opposed to tracking, when I'm mixing, I'm very focused on the hyper details. When I'm tracking, I'm just looking at the bigger picture. But when I'm on a motorcycle, I very, very much have to be in on the details, because if I'm not, then if I'm not in the details, then I'm in the weeds or in the woods or under a car or something because I've crashed. So I love what motorcycling does because it doesn't actually free my mind like one may think. I don't ride Harleys, I ride sport bikes generally. If I'm traveling at a rapid rate of speed, then I want to be hyper focused. And that, along with the adrenaline rush, is it's very gratifying. Guys, I've really enjoyed hanging out with you today. I would like to thank Amphion for having me. I'm honored and blessed to be associated with such wonderful people. I look forward to talking to you all soon. Be well.